Jim. It was probably 2016 or 17 when this happened. I was with our neighbor and our neighbor's wife and my father, and they just kind of took us out riding around and showing us an old graveyard where our neighbor Jim's grandfather had done some gravestones there. He'd handmade them and everything. It was way out. I mean, way out. It backed up the Rockcastle River. The place did and everything. It was an old mining cemetery. That's where we started out at. So he decides he's going to go on up there and show Dad all this stuff and everything. We get up there, and I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere, way back in the middle of nowhere, and stopped the car and let Dad get out and stuff, because as I said, he was elderly and had Alzheimer's and stuff, so he was kind of getting out stretching. While they were doing that, I got out and I walked like I was on this side of the car when we first started. And I honestly, I think this was in Jackson, but I don't know for sure, but it was around in that area. So I walked around the car over here and walked up here. Okay, there was a hill, and it wasn't a real slope one, but it went up like that. And there was woods that backed that hill up there. And I was just kind of stretching and looked up, and out walks this Bigfoot. And he just kind of walked up out of the woods, come up on top of, he was on top of the hill, and he stops and he looks. And he had this, well, I shouldn't say he had this look, but he kind of looked like, what's humans doing way back here? And of course it shocked me so bad. Didn't think about taking a picture, didn't think about nothing. I was standing there with my mouth dropped open looking up. And he stood there for, it seemed longer, but it was probably maybe a minute, 2 minutes, something like that. And he just turns back around. I mean, politely. He was just like, turns around, walks back into the woods. And I mean, it was dark red, almost a really dark auburn. It was long haired. I couldn't see real close the facial features and stuff. The shoulders, though, was humongous. They looked humongous from where I was standing. And the neck and everything. And I mean, you could see the hair coming down, but I couldn't really make out a whole lot of his facial features. But when he turned around and walked, he did swing his arms, and he strided. He didn't, shuffle or have an off gait or anything. He just kind of strode, just back into the woods and stuff. And I mean, that was just it. I was just kind of like, but it's something in a lifetime thing. When you see something like that, you don't forget it. I asked them if they saw it. Of course, they didn't, because they were doing their own thing, getting them something to drink and everything. And Dad's sitting there, he's like, well, Kim, why don't you take a picture? I mean, it shocked me so bad. He just kind of laughed, him and Jim both. Jim said, there's not be anything all up in there. And that's all he ever said about it. I've had some weird stuff happen. And I don't know if it was Bigfoot or not Bigfoot, but it made me wonder the way that it come down. So I never did see anything. Now, this was where I lived at in Lincoln County. But you would hear really weird noises every once in a while out in the woods, and you would hear a knock. And I would go out and I would just talk to it. It's like, okay, if you're here, that's great. You take care of your stuff. Don't bother me. I won't bother you. And I'd always tell it if I was going to have to be gone overnight with Dad or something to watch the place. And they never was. Anything happened. I mean, that don't mean nothing, but it just kind of made me feel good. And they would be knocking. That they wouldn't come up out of the woods where I could actually see it. But every once in a while, you could just hear knocks and stuff. And I would leave it like apples or pears or something like that when I would get stuff. And of course, I don't know if it was that got it or what got it, but they would be gone by the next morning. And this one guy always said that he got chased by something, but you couldn't believe nothing that dude said. So I don't know if he actually did or not, but I know something did scare him to death. Yeah. He was coming up out of Buck Creek Reservoir, and he said it was following him. And he said I'd run and it'd speed up. And he said I never did actually get a good look at it, but he said it made enough noise and said it shook stuff and carried on. So I don't know if it was Bigfoot, if it wasn't Bigfoot.